Tonight actually, is September 10th. I made a YouTube clip on the 9th, but I didn't post it until today. So then I decided to go ahead and make a clip this evening for the 10th, on the 10th, and to pick up from where I left off. I left off at the part where I had offered a glass of water to Armando Garza and to Raul Buhonda. He got his own water. Who got his own water? And noted my notes on different prisons that I had been in the process of calling to find out if they would be receptive to allowing me to distribute a survey to inmates in order to find out how they felt their public defense was. And it didn't really have to do with juvenile justice, but it was my own idea. I think I've always been interested in one way or the another in research and doing, I guess, kind of light, I suppose you would call it, investigative work to help people, and then sometimes I've had to help myself as well, which is why I was forced to file the lawsuits that I filed, because I was forced to try to protect my reputation. So he noted the notes. I didn't say anything to him. I just thought, oh, here's this FBI person looking at my notes about prisons. That must be really interesting. And then he sat down, and I should clarify that when I said that I didn't typically have more than 2 drinks, it took about, when I first went out with a friend, maybe just on the weekend, 1 drink really did me, and I was very drunk after 1 drink, because I never drank almost my entire life, and I was thin and petite. So I really had no tolerance built up at all. And after making a habit of going out to go to dance, the most I ever had, I believe, with her over an entire night was 2 drinks. And that was enough to do me in. I mean, literally. And I believe the most that I ever had going out, which was way beyond my capacity, which might sound sort of strange to some people who are used to drinking, but was 3 drinks. And on that occasion, I was supposed to meet someone again. It was another time that I was meeting someone at this Irish pub in downtown Portland, and they never showed up, and I was just blasted. They were going to be my ride back. And I was so drunk that typically I was just a cheerful drunk person, I guess. But I started to cry. I mean, I got a few tears in my eyes, and I didn't lose it, but, the horrible scenario of being the crying drunk. And I have to say that I noticed a woman there who was even drunker than I was, and a lot of men leering, I guess, around her, and I've always regretted not saying something. I just always wondered, what should I have done in that situation where she was so completely incapacitated and this man was dancing with her on the floor and kind of mocking her and laughing at her while everyone was watching. And then he basically picked her up and kind of threw her over his shoulder as he's walking out the door, type of a thing, like barely holding her up. And everybody winking and smiling like, yeah, he's going to get something tonight. And I always felt bad about that because I think I could have maybe approached her and said something. And someone did that for me, actually, because there was a woman there who asked me if I needed a ride back to my house. And I mean, I wasn't engaging in conversation with men at the time. I had a little bit of my wits about me, but I still feel bad about this one woman. So if you ever see somebody in that situation, maybe it's hard, but ask them if they need, if you can help in any way, I guess. So, I guess I'm just going into that to describe how very little it took to have me drunk. Because when I went out with the FBI agents, there was a big point with the FBI persons who came out to interview me about how much did I drink, and they're estimating whether or not I was incapacitated, met the legal definition of incapacitated. However, the FBI special supervisor agents that came out to interview me really didn't even make very much of a deal about that at all. In fact, they tried to sort of cover up any idea of my being incapacitated, of there being any kind of sexual abuse or harassment. And they completely disregarded the fact that they were unlawfully going into my house when I was incapacitated. And instead, they made it into a situation of abusive position, using their FBI status to get a date is all they made it out to be, which was basically nothing. That's not a crime. That's, slap on the hand. You should, be more grown up than that, kind of a thing. And then in internal records, I had no idea what they had done. And we'll get into that later, but first I will tell you what actually happened. And then I will tell you what the FBI wrote as happening, which was basically a lie. So, I was sitting there on the couch, on my couch, and Garza was sitting to my left. And then Buhanda got his glass of water and then sat on my right. And then they both at the same time began kissing me, one on either cheek, and touching me on my thigh and breast. I did not invite that contact. I said nothing to indicate I wanted anything of the sort, and I was so shocked that I stood up immediately and said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Nothing." And I said, "What do you mean, nothing?" And I think I was shocked because all night they've been talking about how they were looking for this right woman for the FBI. At one point, Garza was talking about how the FBI was better than the CIA, and talking in a professional manner as well. I mean, he was able to engage in sort of business talk, and and honestly, as also, I didn't feel slighted at all by Raul Buhanda not first paying attention and then kind of pushing me off to Garza. It wasn't like I felt rejected. I was just surprised. I didn't understand why he would take me out and then do that after I was already intoxicated. And then to talk about, working for the FBI and knowing that I had an interest in becoming a lawyer and was wanting to try to go to the FBI that way. So I really was shocked. I really was sort of confused as to what they were doing. You know, were they recruiting me for employment with the FBI? Or I know it sounds a little naive that I would ask what's going on, but I was naive. I wasn't on the same platform or level of understanding how most of the rest of society worked, because most of my life I'd gone to church 4 days a week and was celibate, didn't party, didn't really go in those circles. I worked as a nanny as well. I mean, my life was pretty sheltered. So when I said what's going on, I meant what's going on. And I've later seen my comment repeated by judges in Washington State, basically sort of mocking me, making fun with me. And so after they said nothing, I sat down again, and I was drunk, I was just not thinking. And then they said, I think I asked if I could see I asked if they had their guns on them. And I'm not sure, I don't really know why, I can't remember why I brought up the guns thing. I don't know if one of them, I don't think they ever, oh no wait, they did tell me that they had guns on them because we couldn't go to certain bars where they frisked you to check for guns. So that was how I knew that they had their guns with them. And so that was, I guess, why I then brought it up and just said, could I see what kind of gun it was? So then they both took out their Glocks, their FBI Glocks. They both had the exact same kind. It was like a standard, I guess, FBI gun. And then I asked if I could hold it, but I said take the ammunition out first, because I didn't want to hold it with ammunition. I think I just felt too nervous, too scared to even touch a gun with bullets in it. So one of them took the cartridge and took the bullets out. And then I looked at the bullet. It was, like I don't know, if you can see my fingers. It was about that wide, maybe. And sort of like, I think it was brass colored, torpedo shaped, very round, smooth sort of end. I don't really know anything about guns or bullets, so I was sort of curious about it. And then I pointed it at a wall the gun at a wall that faced straight out into a field, not pointing down. Even though they'd taken all the bullets out, I still felt like I wouldn't point it at anybody or in any direction where anyone could be potentially standing or on the other end of the wall, other side of the wall. And as I was holding the gun, they said, look at how steady her arms are. Or they said I had a very, something about how level my aim was, or my arms were. And then all of a sudden both of them were kissing me again and touching me in my crotch area. And I stood up again and said, I think I gave him the gun back. And then I stood up and